every evening, 4 hours. Stand up kirtan, dancing, tears in the eyes, rolling on the ground. What are you coming telling me to stop? What do we have next that's better?
My English is not good, Maharaj.
Okay. He doesn't know English. Jai Vishnu Bhad, Paramantacharya, Srila Prabhupada, founder of Discount Society, Savior of the whole world, King. Jai Vishnu Bhad, Paramantacharya, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki. Guru Karam Pilar Ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Shri Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasudeva, Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Namkunda Radhakunda Girivardhan Ki. Namindam Ki. Shuram Ki. Jagannath Puri Ki. Tusidev Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Bhaktivinoda Ki. Gaur Nityananda. Oh, glory to Jesus. Glory to Jesus. Shri Prabhupada Ki. What's next, class? Yes. But the Kirtan is better than okay, we're not going to have class, we're going to have some bhajan. Do you have any song books? No, right? What can we sing that everybody knows?
They can put it on the screen, songs.
Which song?
Okay, Yashamati Nandana. Put it on the screen. Everybody knows Yashamati Nandana? We have to get a higher taste. Somehow or other. And Kirtan is the one that gives us a higher taste. Okay. Everybody take a deep breath. The baby stopped crying. The Prabhupada talks about the baby is crying. Do we have to translate? No. The baby is crying and crying. It's handed from one moment to the next. When it gets to the mother, it stops crying. So you're the mother? Yeah. That was what happened. The baby was crying, then it went in the mother's lap, it stopped crying. That's okay. So, Prabhupada gave the example that we try so many different things, but we're not satisfied. We're still crying. But when we come to the Hare Krishna, we can stop crying. We can be happy. That was Prabhupada's mood. Chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Otherwise, Dukalayam Shashvatam. This world is full of misery. No happiness, zero happiness. What passes for happiness is illusion. Maya Sukhaya. Okay, you can close. See, we're hearing a Gramakatha from the street. Yashamati Nandana Vrajavadana Gara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yashamati Nandana Hey Yashamati Nandana Vrajavadana Gara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Para Dana Dana Madana Manahara Gopi Dana Dana Madana Manahara Kaliya Damana Vidana Kaliya Damana Vidana Amala Harina Amya Vilasa Amala Harina Amya Vilasa Ipina Purandara Navinaga Nagavara Bhakti Vadana Suvasa Ipina Purandara Navinana Gadavara Bhakti Vadana Suvasa Rajajana Palana Sura Kulanasana Rajajana Palana Sura Kulanasana Nanda Godana Rakovala Hey Nanda Godana Rakovala Govinda Madhava Namanita Tachara Govinda Madhava Namanita Tachara Sundarananda Gopala Sundarananda Gopala Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasana Hara Yamuna Tatachara Gopi Vasana Hara Rajaratika Kripa Maya Hey Rajaratika Kripa Maya Shirada Balava Vinavana Natavara Shirada Balava Vinavana Natavara Bhakti Vinoda Shaya Hey Bhakti Vinoda Shaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hey Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Translation Bhaktivinoda is giving us different ways to remember Krishna. All these names that he's advising us to sing are connected with Krishna directly or through his devotees or through his pastimes.
Lord Krishna is the beloved son of Mother Yashoda, the transcendental lover in the land of Vraja, the delight of Gokula, Kana, a nickname of Krishna, the wealth of the delights of the gopis. He steals the mind of even Cupid and punishes the Kaliya serpent. These pure holy names of Lord Hari are full of sweet nectarian pastimes. Krishna is the Lord of the 12 forests of Vraja. He is ever youthful and is the best of lovers. He is always playing on a flute and he is an excellent dresser. Krishna is the protector of the inhabitants of Vraja, the destroyer of various demoniac dynasties, the keeper and the tender of Nandamaraya's cows, the giver of pleasure to the cows, land and spiritual senses, the husband of the goddess of fortune, the butter thief and the beautiful cowherd boy of Nanda Maharaja. Krishna wanders along the banks of river Yamuna. He stole the garments of the young damsels of Raja who were bathing there. He delights in the mellows of the Rasa dance. He is very merciful, the lover and the beloved of Srimati Radharani, the great dancer of Vrindavana, and the shelter and only refuge of Thakura Bhakti Vinoda.
Shri Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki. Yashamati. Now what about Bhajahure Mana Shinanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Bhajahure Mana Shinanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Bhajahure Mana Shinanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Dulava manava janam satange. Dulava manava janam satange. Karo hey baba sindure. Karo hey baba Chapa Patavari Sana Etina Jamini Yagire. Chapa Patavari Sana Etina Jamini Yagire. Vifale Sevino Kripana Dora Jana. Vifale Sevino Kripana Dora Jana. Kapala Tukalama Lagire. Kapala Tukalama Lagire. Dana Yovana Kucha Parijana Eteke Ache Para Titiye. Dana Yovana Kucha Parijana Eteke Ache Para Titiye. Dana Yovana Kucha Parijana Eteke Ache Para Titiye. Kamala Jala Jala Jivana Talamala. Kamala Jala Jala Jivana Talamala. Bajahu Hari Pada Nitire. Bajahu Hari Pada. Kirtana Marana Vandana Marasevana Yatire. Ravana Kirtana Marana Vandana Marasevana Jana Karana Vandana Parasevana Yasare Pavana Kirtana Ujana Saki Jana Mani Vedana Ujana Saki Jana Mani Vedana Govinda Tatavi Asare Govinda Tatavi Translation.
O mind, just worship the lotus feet of the son of Nanda, which make one fearless. Having obtained this rare human birth, cross over the ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and at night I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For a fraction of flickering happiness, I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons and family members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on a lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is the desire and great longing of Govinda Dasa to engage himself in the 9 processes of Bhakti, namely hearing the glories of Lord Hari and chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving him as a friend and completely offering the Lord's one's very self.
Jai Govinda Das Ki Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivadhari Jaya Girivadhari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivadhari Jaya Girivadhari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivadhari Jaya Girivadhari Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Jaya Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Jaya Vrajajana Yamuna Tiravadachari Jaya Bihari Jaya Jaya Yamuna Chiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jnanaatimirandasya janaganasalakayam chakshusmilitam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Chapitam jena bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Sa Parantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatavar Kamalan Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatan Sagana Raganatan Vitam Sajivam Advaitam Sarvarutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karane Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindhavameshwari Vishwanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhasya Vipa Sindhu Vaevasya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mars, you want a chair? Okay. So we've been reading. Thank you. Be careful you don't walk on this floor. We've been reading from the 9th chapter. Now we're on the 28th verse. Last night, it was a very important verse. How we should do everything for Krishna. Yat karoshi, yajdahasi, yajdahasi. I forget how it goes. And today, 28, there's a follow-up from last night's verse. Maybe we should read just the translation of the previous verse. The translation is, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So we don't have to translate, huh?
There is simultaneous translation.
Oh, okay. Today's verse. Subha subha phala evam mokshase karma bandhanaya sanyasya yoga yuktatma vimuktomam upaishyasi. Translation, in this way, referring to the previous verse, in this way, you'll be freed from the bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me, in this principle of renunciation, you'll be liberated and come to me. So, this is really the essence of Krishna consciousness. Most people think religion means good work. You do good work, you help the people. But you won't get free from the karma in that way. We were reading last night how Prabhupada is explaining in the purport of chapter 14, text 6, it talks about the mode of goodness. But Prabhupada mentions that still, even if you're working in the mode of goodness, you won't get free from the cycle of birth and death. Most people think religion means, you help the people. You give the example of a drowning man. He's been in the water. He fell off the ship. He's in the water. He's a good swimmer, but he can't. The helicopter comes, and they call down, how long have you been in there in the water? He says, 2 days. And they said, oh, you must be hungry. And they throw them some, and then they fly away. So this is what the religions have become. They do good work. They're feeding the poor, but it doesn't solve the real problem. Prabhupada sometimes compare wet stool, dry stool. We think that this dry stool is so much better than wet stool, but it's all stool. If you're in the material world, it means you're suffering. You can't avoid old age, disease, and death. And in the previous verse, Krishna was telling us exactly how we can get free from this suffering condition. He says that repeatedly, over and over. By putting Krishna in the center, then we become Krishnized, and we qualify to enter back into the spiritual world. But people don't believe that. They think, no, why are you not doing good work? You're just talking philosophy, but people are starving. Now another war just started yesterday. I don't know if any of you follow the news. Another war, a substantial sized war, is what do they call them? Palestinians. They invaded southern Israel. Thousands of people are dead. And now it's going to go on for months. They're bombing already, they're retaliating. There's no solution. The solution is kill everybody. But Lord Chaitanya said, in the Kali Yuga, that's not practical. Krishna was killing. He was killing a lot of demons. Prabhupada said when he was reading Krishna book, he liked those pastimes of Krishna killing the demons. He used to relish it. So it's nothing bad about war. War can be perfect, just like Battle of Kurukshetra. Or like Maharaj Parikshit was ready to kill the Sudra in the dress of a king who was tormenting the cow. He took his sword, he was ready to kill him. So we're not against violence, but it has to be done on principle of religion. But in Kali Yuga, therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed by his own example, he didn't kill Jagai and Madhai. He was ready to kill, but Nityananda, we can say Nityananda is the mercy side of Lord Chaitanya. No, please remember your mission, Lord. Your mission is to save the most fallen, not to kill them. So Kali Yuga, we don't advise killing. But people will go on killing each other. What to do? Unless this movement becomes very prominent, there's every likelihood that the Kali Yuga will increase more and more. So, again, a simple formula, very nicely explained in this verse. I'm going to read it again. It's so nicely done. I shouldn't paraphrase it because it's perfectly presented by Krishna himself. What does he say? In this way, by following the principle of doing everything for me, you will be freed from the bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious result. People think auspicious, oh yes, we should get auspicious results. The whole world is running after. And some of them don't care. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in karma. So they don't care. They don't know that they're doing inauspicious things, creating a hellish future for themselves. With your mind fixed on me, in this principle of renunciation, the principle of renunciation is to do everything for Krishna. We'll not be attached to the result, because we're giving the result to Krishna. That was the theme of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna was saying, how can I fight? If I fight these relatives, they're superior to me, I'll get bad karma. Grandfather Bhishma is my superior. He's like my grandfather. I used to sit on his lap. He told me stories. Drona is my teacher. Can I kill them? Better I should give up fighting. But Krishna says what? No. Fight for me. Then there won't be any karma. Akarma. There's three things. Karma is good work. Vikarma is bad work. And akarma is no result on the material side. And then we can, that's the verse, Brahmabhuta prasanadmana sochatina kanjati samasarvesa bhutesu mad bhaktim lavadeva. We can come to the level of Brahman when we give up making distinction. We see every living entity that Krishna is in their heart. No more malice. Oh, I hate the Palestinians, I hate the Jews. And the children are being trained that from the beginning. It's very difficult, this community spirit, how to overcome it. But this is the only way. This Krishna conscious movement is really the only way there can be peace in the world. So we have to take it very seriously. to spread this mission. Whenever the opportunity is there, we should preach. That was Prabhupada's mood. Once I came into Prabhupada's room, I had a servant or assistant at that time. He was my godbrother, but he was assisting me. I was a sannyasi. Came into Prabhupada's room in Mayapur, and he was sitting alone, and he was reading Krishna book. Usually an author will never read his own book. He's written them and he puts them away and sells them and so on. So, Prabhupada was reading Krishna book, so I turned to my assistant, I said, just see, Prabhupada's reading Krishna book. And then Prabhupada spoke. What did Prabhupada say? Yes, always preach. He was talking to me. Yes. He was confirming that I was preaching to my assistant. He said, yes, always preach. So there's a lot of opportunities to preach, but we miss them. Because we think, oh, no. No, we should always preach. Whenever there's an opportunity. Of course, sometimes we were advised not to preach to the faithless. We kind of avoid them. We don't broadcast the glories of the holy name to the faithless. And Haridas Thakur showed by his example that when somebody was very offensive, he just became indifferent to them. We don't hate them. We just think they're not ready for Krishna consciousness. So we look for an innocent person who is ready. Then we can preach. And Prabhupada was asked this question about, well, how do we know if somebody's innocent or not? And he gave the example, or he gave the answer that if they're ready to hear from us, then they're innocent. But generally people are not ready to hear. But if they can hear even a few words, then we should preach. Like one person came to Prabhupada, he was like an important person, he was busy, so you just tell me the gist of what you're doing. Yes. Krishna is God, take it. You want to preach quickly? Yeah. Krishna is God. They don't know who God is. We do. Just like we're reading Bhakti Thakur. We give a description. This is what Krishna does. This is what his parents did. This is how he does. We have a clear description. Here is God. Krishna. They don't have a clear. The Muslims, if you start talking about God, they get offended. No, he's not a human being. We agree he's not a human being. But he has qualities, like a person. He's not a human being, that's good. But he's a person. Because they say Allah is the most merciful. But that means he's a person. So what kind of person? What does he do? What is his activity? We have full description. That's why they become fanatical. They don't know what God is doing. How is it? He's playing with his friends and so on. And so they just become fanatical. And the other side, sentiment. The Christians often become sentimental. Jesus died for our sins. And then they also get angry, repent. I was preaching once on the campus, Justin Dodi Tilak. And a Christian came to me. In the name of God, I cast you out. He started screaming at me. He thought, you're of the devil. But this is the wrong idea. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there's no devil. Demoniac people are there. But devil implies a competitor to God. He has a different power source. But we say no, ours is much more holistic. Nothing outside of God. God gives independence, so sometimes there's misuse of independence, and we say that's evil. Because it's taking us away from God. Okay, if you want to use that word, evil. There are two ways. We can go closer to God, or we can go further away from God. So if we're coming closer to God, that's auspicious. Inauspicious, we're going away from God. But not this mundane, auspicious or inauspicious. That's the point of this verse. Krishna is pointing out. Everything is inauspicious on the material side. Okay, purport. One who acts in Krishna consciousness under the superior direction is called yukta. The technical term is yukta vairagya. This is further explained by Rupa Goswami as follows. So this is an important verse. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1-2-255. Anashaktasya vishayan yataham upayunjyaha nirbandhan Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchate. In the translation, Rupa Goswami says that as long as we are in this material world, we have to act. We cannot cease acting. Therefore, if actions are performed and the fruits are given to Krishna, that is called Yukta Vairagya, actually situated in renunciation. Such activities are clear the mirror of the mind, and as the actor gradually makes progress in spiritual realization, he becomes completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's a gradual process. Step by step, we get closer. Prabhupada gave the example of the caterpillar. It's moving from one leaf to the next or to the twig. It moves its front part, then it brings the back. Like that. We don't have to jump and make a leap of faith and, break our bones. Step by step, we can make progress. It's very scientific. Rupa Goswami has explained. Atao, Shraddha. First we have a little faith, like you all have a little faith. You're listening to the message of Bhagavad Gita. Atao, Shraddha. Then Sadhu Sangha. Then we associate with devotees. Wow, these people are nice. I remember when I was first coming, I thought, I couldn't understand, this blue boy. But I really appreciated the devotees were very sincere about what they were doing and about their spiritual master. And I appreciated that. So this is the second stage. We associate with devotees. Therefore, Prabhupada took so much headache. He said it was a headache to manage this movement, to have an international society. It's a headache managing. I remember we were in Vrindavan and one big GVC man came, and then afterwards I heard Prabhupada saying, they have come 10,000 miles to lodge complaint. One GVC was complaining about another GVC. So Prabhupada made the GVC to remove the headache of management, but sometimes they created headaches for him and he had to get involved. Because he saw the necessity of association. If we don't get a chance to associate like this, then it's easy that we'll associate with the non-devotees and we'll be talking Krishna Grama Katha instead of Krishna Katha. So we need to associate, that's a fact. And then gradually, the mirror of the mind, nice example, will be cleansed. And will gradually make spiritual realization and become completely surrendered to the personality. So this is the goal. You want to be completely surrendered to Krishna, but it's a gradual process. Therefore, at the end, he becomes liberated. And this liberation is also specified. In this liberation, he does not become one with the Brahmajyoti, but rather enters into the planet of the Supreme Lord. It is clearly mentioned here, Mam Upaishyasi. He comes to me, back home, back to Godhead. There are 5 different stages of liberation, and here it is specified, that the devotees who are always live his lifetime here, under the direction of the Supreme Lord, as stated, has evolved to the point where he can, after quitting his body, go back to Godhead and engage directly in the association of the Supreme Lord. So this is our goal. We want to see Krishna face to face. So we are aspiring for the highest thing. Highest thing. Therefore, we can't expect immediately Krishna is going to show his face to us. Because Krishna becomes the servant of his devotee. He's driving Arjuna's chariot. He's sending Yudhisthira, he's taking message from Yudhisthira and delivering the messages like a peon, post-peon. So how is it? He's not going to do that unless that person he's doing it for really loves him. He's not a fool that he's going to be controlled by some nonsense rascal person. So this is why we have to become pure devotees, so that we can get closer to Krishna and serve him more intimately. And he'll be happy with that. So people think, well, how is it possible? He's a person, how can he reciprocate with all of us? So this is his mystic opulence. That we should accept on faith. That he's not a person like you and me, but he's a person who's in everyone's heart. He's a person who can reciprocate with everybody. As they surrender to him, Krishna says, I reciprocate. So, aham, Krishna is a person. He's saying, I will personally reciprocate with you. So therefore we become doubtful. But one of the things that helps me over the years is to remove my doubts, is that the quality of our parampara, of the persons, each person, They're such, you can say, exemplary persons of the highest character and very intelligent. And they've accepted it fully. There's no doubts left in them. So why am I doubting? I mean, we all doubt, right? Actually, Prabhupada says doubting is a sign of intelligence. In the beginning, we should doubt until our doubts are removed. But the Guru's job is to remove the doubts. And once the doubts are removed, then we should give them up. What is the doubt? Prabhupada used to always say. So what is the difficulty? He was always encouraging us. Give up the difficulties. Don't keep them. Doubts are like demons. Once it's explained to you, so it's a little difficult to explain. Therefore we say achinta. Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is one and different. It's a little difficult because we're trying to understand with our mind, which is material, our intelligence, which is material. So we have to accept a little bit on faith. And then Krishna will reciprocate, and then our faith will increase. That's the process. As you surrender unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. So we can all take a step in the direction of surrender. How is it we can do it? Yeah. We can give our words to in the service of the Lord. Preach, in other words. Or preach to each other also. We can give our money. Everybody has some money. So here's the donation box. Give a little more. So that you're showing, you're proving. Money talks, they say, right? This is your talking. Yes, I'm giving some hard-earned money. Then what else? We can give our time, do some labor. Come and clean the deity dishes. So there's so many things to do. This is also all welcome. And then ultimately, Atmani Vedana. We can give our life, like Maharaj has done. That's a fact. How many years have you been a devotee?
Since 69.
Since 1969. How many years is that? 54. 54. So we can say, here's a man has given his life. That's the ultimate stage, Atmani Vedanam. But from any position, we can begin. Again, we can do some labor, we can give some money, we can use our words to preach to others, glorify ISKCON, and so on. Then, next paragraph. Anyone who has no interest but to dedicate his life to the service of the Lord is actually a sannyasi. Such a person always thinks of himself as an eternal servant, dependent on the supreme will of the Lord. As such, whatever he does it for the benefit of the Lord. Whatever action he performs it as a service to the Lord. He does not give serious attention to the fruitive activities or prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas. For ordinary persons, it is obligatory to execute the prescribed duties mentioned in the Vedas. But although a pure devotee who is completely engaged in the service of the Lord may sometimes appear to go against the prescribed Vedic duties, actually it is not so. Just like Prabhupada appeared to go against the principle of the Vedic duties because he didn't get his daughter married before he took sannyas. People can criticize. The Vedic duty is the father's supposed to get his daughter married. But Prabhupada didn't do that duty. Because his Guru Maharaj was coming repeatedly in a dream, telling him that he should come out and take sannyas. So that was a higher duty. Otherwise, the Vedic, possible, you grihastas, you have a daughter, you should try to help her get married. Arrange a marriage. Of course she has to agree, but this is the principle. The father is supposed to help. But of course in the Western world, it's not very much followed, but actually it's a very good system. Otherwise, how does the girl find a husband? She goes on a date. Right? And then the guy he can misuse her. Touch her breasts or something, and then, the whole thing gets spoiled. So better if the father is there and finds out what kind of boy he is and arranges, then they meet and see if they're compatible and do astrology. And so we're not against, taking precaution, but these love marriages, quote unquote, after some time, that love is not going to be there. It's infatuation. And if in the rare cases when it does last whole life, then that's good. The society is strong in that way. So there is some concern about having the girls find a good husband. It is stated, therefore, by Vaishnava authorities that even the most intelligent person cannot understand the plans and activities of a pure devotee. Now, that's a good point. I'll give you an example. I was a brahmachari in London in 1969. Prabhupada came there for 3 months, and we had a building on Berry Place, and Prabhupada's room was there on the first floor, off the ground. And so when he was leaving, I was thinking, because, it was kind of a small temple. We didn't have extra space. And I was thinking, well, now when Prabhupada leaves, we'll use this space. Utility is the principle. And we'll have, guests here, or we could bring prasadam, like something like that. That's what I was thinking. But before Prabhupada left, he said, so keep this room the way it is. And so we did, of course. And I realized that, wow, this is perfect advice. It seemed to go against my thinking of utility. We could use it, but it was more valuable because whenever we came into this room, we remembered Prabhupada. This is Prabhupada's room. This is where he sat. And so it was like a place of pilgrimage, aside from the temple, of course, because people were coming and going in the temple. But we could come in Prabhupada's room. We could chant our japa. We could remember Prabhupada. So the point is that Prabhupada was a pure devotee, so he knew it would be best for us. We didn't contradict it. We didn't say, oh, Prabhupada, we could utilize this space. No, we accepted. Okay, Prabhupada, you know better than us. So we couldn't understand his plan. The exact words are Tanra Vakya Kriya Mudra Vineha Cha Bhujaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 23:39. A person who is thus always engaged in the service of the Lord, or is always thinking and planning how to serve the Lord, is to be considered completely liberated at present, and in the future he is going back home, back to Godhead. It is guaranteed. He is above all materialistic criticism, just as Krishna is above all criticism. Srila Prabhupada ki. So above all criticism. Harikesh told us a story how he was with Prabhupada in South India, and he was cooking for Prabhupada, and it was in the mid-morning, and suddenly like 7 people came into Prabhupada's quarters because the doors were open, and they came to criticize Prabhupada. So Harikesh said he was ready to fight them, but Prabhupada said no. He calmed them down, and then they started criticizing Prabhupada. The 7 of them sitting, Prabhupada was sitting. Why are you making the Malechas into Brahmins? What is this? Like that. They were criticizing because they were Brahmins. They had a monopoly on who could be Brahmin. Oh, you had to be born in a Brahmin family. You had to die first, and the next life you could maybe get a Brahmin's birth. So like that, they were criticizing Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was just completely tolerating. So after 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, they realized that Prabhupada was more of a Brahmin than them because he was able to tolerate, and they just left. So sometimes we have to tolerate, especially on our own account. Prabhupada wasn't concerned to retaliate. He knew their position. He knew his position. He knew he was above criticism, that they were criticizing him. He didn't have to retaliate. They were condemning themselves by criticizing a pure devotee, and Krishna would deal with it. He didn't have to be the agent to retaliate against them. So that's the secret, when to tolerate and when not to tolerate. We shouldn't tolerate if somebody is blaspheming the Lord or the Lord's devotee. Then we should be like fire. Okay, any questions? We read the verse again. It's a follow-up on the previous verse where Krishna tells us we should do everything for him, we should work for him, we should offer up food to him, everything should be done for him. In this way, Krishna is saying, in this way you will be freed from the bondage to work. Nobody's free from the bondage to work, unless they come to this point of working fully for the Lord. And its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me, in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So the renunciation is, it's not I'm not working, I'm not the doer. I'm one of the desires there to do something for Krishna, but ultimately, I'm not the doer. There's so many factors. I think it was 5 factors that are involved in an action. So I'm not the doer. Man proposes, God disposes. This is renunciation. Okay? So we all should be renounced, not just the sannyasis. Everyone has to be renounced in that sense, that we're giving up the result of our work for Krishna's pleasure. That's renunciation. Comments? Questions? I could tell some stories. I wrote a book on some of the things, how Prabhupada dealt with me. Sometimes he encouraged me, and sometimes he chastised me. Which would you like to hear? Chastised? Who said both? Yes. He chastised me. He chastised me because he wanted me to stay in Mayapur to be a co-director, but I didn't want to stay there. Bhavananda had to leave, and Prabhupada asked me to be co-director through his agent, Gopal Krishna with the GVC. So I was thinking, Prabhupada, if I stay here, I have nothing to do. So I kind of made the point that, like that, and Prabhupada said, you're some sannyasi, our formula is plain living, high thinking, but you're simply addicted to the city. Which was true. I was thinking, if I go in the city, there's always action and selling books, and I was a little mode of passion, so I didn't think I could be happy in Mayapur, because during the year, this was early days, 74, nobody was coming there. So anyway, I gave that argument. Then the next argument I gave about, we have to research this, what are my 3 arguments? In my book, I put in that. So another argument was, that was the last argument, was that I've been sannyasa for 5 years. And the other argument, the Prabhupada,
Language.
Oh yeah, I won't be, no, that's the last argument. So I gave 3 arguments, and Prabhupada defeated all of them. And the last argument was that Prabhupada, I've been a sannyasi for 5 years. If I stay here in Bengal, they only speak Bengali, they don't speak English, so how can I preach? So Prabhupada said, oh, you've been sannyasi for 5 years and you haven't had a chance to preach? So what makes you think you know how to preach? And then I surrendered. Yeah.
You already had a plan to open the center. I have some devotees.
Anyway, we have to do our homework better. So he chastised me and I stayed, and then after 6 months Bhavananda came back, and then I went to Vrindavan, he was there, to get another assignment, kind of. He did it. He told me once, I know you can't work with the GVC very well, so he gave me assignments directly. So I went for my next assignment, and then I came to see, he was in Krishna Balaram Mandir, and I remember thinking, I was chanting japa, I remember thinking, well, now Prabhupada's going to ask me what I want to do, so maybe I should think of what I want to do. But then my other side of the mind was saying, well, I should just do what Prabhupada wants. So that's what came to pass. I came in the room, gave a report about Mayapur, Bhavananda was back there and so on. And then Prabhupada said, so now what would you like to do? And then I said, Srila Prabhupada, I can do whatever you like. Maybe it was the influence of Vrindavan, but I kind of surrendered. It was hard because my mind was saying, well, what if he tells me to do something I don't want to do? Right? And so I surrendered, and Prabhupada, immediately I saw that he appreciated that. It was almost like he was taken aback. You really? You ready to do whatever I want? I mean, Prabhupada had so many disciples, but everyone had their own way. It's like they weren't all ready just to do whatever Prabhupada wanted. Many examples, like Prabhupada asked somebody to stay in India, and the person, he was a sannyas, GVC, said, no, Prabhupada, I can't work here, I can't deal with the Indians. So, it was very common, they would give an argument why they couldn't do something. Because they're devotees for already 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and they thought they knew what was best for themselves. So when I agreed to do whatever Prabhupada wanted, he appreciated that. I could see that he appreciated it, but he was very open. You could, Prabhupada he could read your mind, and you could see his. By his gesture, he wasn't tricky at all. He was very open, and you could see what he was thinking and what he was doing, and he was completely non-duplicit. Another time there in London, I was giving massages, I mentioned, every day. And when I first did the service, I never gave a massage before, so after the massage was finished, I said, Srila Prabhupada, I want to go to the library today and get a book on how to give massage. We were in London. And Prabhupada said, not necessary. You read Bhagavad Gita and Krishna will tell you how to give massage. That's supposed to get a laugh. I don't know if people can understand my language. You understand English coherently? Okay. I'm not getting any feedback. Usually I get some chuckles or something. And I lose enthusiasm to speak. Because, I feel like I'm talking to the wall. And I'm revealing intimate things in my exchange with Srila Prabhupada, and I'd just as soon not reveal them if you're not going to appreciate them. I have a book, you can buy my book, 10 euros. Okay, any questions? Yeah.
I read that Srila Prabhupada told you, wherever I tell him to go, he'll go there.
He didn't tell me that. There was one, GBC was criticizing me. His name was Guru Kripa. You heard of Guru Kripa. So he was criticizing me in front of Prabhupada, and Prabhupada didn't want to hear it. He said, no, wherever I send him, he'll go. That was all. I heard that from Rameshwar. He was there. Next.
How you met Prabhupada? What was the first time?
Okay, that's a good question. I met Prabhupada through his devotees, first time. I came in the temple and they had a picture of Prabhupada and they were worshipping him, and I thought it was a little strange that they were worshipping him because he was a human being. My mother taught me never to worship a human being, only worship God. I was brought up a Roman Catholic, so I thought, what is this? Idol worship. I kind of had that feeling that they were worshiping a person, a human being. But then I met him, and it took me about 1.5 years where I was completely convinced that Prabhupada was worshipable. If not, it took me some time. Then I realized how I realized it, because he was everyone's well-wisher. He had no malice. He had no sense of retaliating and getting, just like I told the Brahmin stories. He was completely free from any sense of getting even with somebody or retaliating. He would just tolerate. And I realized that this is a very rare quality, and only a pure devotee can have that. I didn't have it. I felt, sometimes vengeful. Why did you step on my toe or something? So I wanted to be like him, and then I accepted that he was a pure devotee and he was worshipable. So I can't say as I'm completely free on the same level as Prabhupada. I still catch myself doing things that are less than pure devotion. But compared to what I was, I can see I've made a lot of progress. And so I'm confident that I'll make more progress in the future. So I'm not anxiety about myself. I know that if I remain on this path, my future is very bright. And the same for you. Remain on this path, and gradually all the anarthas will be removed. All the dirty things in the heart, the mirror of the heart, Prabhupada uses that word here, will be cleansed. There's three ways, right? There's the embryo in the womb. What's the other one? Mirror? There's one more.
Fire and smoke.
Yeah. How does that go? The fire?
Yeah, the covering is like.
Oh yeah, the smoke covers the fire. That's right. So we want to see the fire, we have to remove the smoke. We want to have the right image in the mirror, we have to clean the mirror. That way. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Can you speak a little bit about your first impressions when you came first to Germany to preach?
In 1970 I came.
In the 70s.
In 1970 I came to Hamburg. Tamal Krishna sent me here. Sent me there. To be honest, I was in London and Tamal came to become Temple president. Before Mukunda was a Temple president and the three Grihastas. But they weren't happy with that service, and they asked Srila Prabhupada if he would, because they knew Tamal, if he would send him here. So he came, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj his style of management was a little bit, you have to be my man. So I didn't fit into that. I didn't want to be his man. So he sent me to Germany. And then later, after a couple of months, he came to Krishna Maharaj, and Hansaduta was with him. And Tamal had a new wife. She also came.
They got married in Germany.
Did they get married in Germany? Yeah. So maybe the wife wasn't with him then, but anyway, he was already married. That was the understanding before he came. Because as soon as they came, they wanted all the brahmacharis to get married. That was a fact. I was there.
And you left.
I didn't just leave. That's the story. I wrote a letter to Prabhupada. And I said, Prabhupada, they want me to get married to this. They had a girl picked out, Heidi. Nice German girl.
The translator.
She was a translator.
But she was a professional translator.
Heidi, you knew her?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you were there, that's right. So you remember Heidi. She was a good girl because I was collecting money to go to leave when I got permission, and she gave me some money to so it wasn't, there was no hard feelings between us. So then I wrote to Prabhupada, I said, and then Prabhupada wrote a letter back, there should be no canvassing for brahmacharis to get married, and then he gave me permission to come back to America. Of course, Tamal and Hansaduta didn't like that, but what could they do? So another remembrance, some of you may have been to your fair city of Hamburg. There was an area called Reeperbahn. Is that right? Reeperbahn? And it was kind of a rough area. So we'd do Harinam there. But then sometimes people would kind of attack. So they made me like the sergeant of arms. I was supposed to protect the chanting party, which was a kind of a joke because I'm not a good fighter or something. But I used to fight with my words. I would just get the hell out of here or something.
You were a trained soldier.
Uh-huh.
You were a GI, right?
I was in the Navy, yeah. So I had some military training.
Yeah, and everyone noticed.
Yes, you have an impressive gesture.
Say what?
You have an impressive gesture.
Stature.
Yes.
Impressive stature. Well, no, I have distractors also, who don't see think I'm impressive. They think I'm too heavy. That's okay. I don't expect that everybody will appreciate me. We saw how even people didn't appreciate Prabhupada. Even his own disciples came to Prabhupada and said, please bless me, I want to get a guru. So we have to tolerate. You appreciate me, others don't appreciate me. This is the world. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya stresses, the first thing, more tolerant than a tree. We have to be tolerant. That's all. If we're not tolerant, we're going to get involved again in the cycle of birth and death. Anyone else? Yes, Mataji.
Maharaj, how many letters you got from Srila Prabhupada?
How many letters?
Yes, and do you remember all them?
I mean, I have an unfortunate incident. Some of my distractors stole my letters. But I think they're all there in the database. I don't know exactly. I would say approximately 20, 15, 20. But we could research that.
There's one particular which you have, you remember?
What?
One particular letter which you received?
Yeah, one particular letter. I was preaching in Hong Kong, and by circumstance I was alone. And Brahmananda was Prabhupada's secretary. He came there. So he sent a telegram to Prabhupada in London. Trivikrama Swami alone, send help immediately. So after 10 days I got a letter from Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said in that letter, Hansaduta says you're alone. But what is this alone? Vaishnava is never alone. Just like I came to your country. Apparently I was alone. But I always felt the presence of my spiritual master. So in this way, go on with the preaching. People were coming on Sunday, and he encouraged me. And so I stayed there alone for a while. And then some devotees came, and I was relieved. But it wasn't, I could remember, because I was going out every day selling books. So I didn't cook. Brahmananda came, he said, so, well, what are we going to eat? I said, well, I usually have oatmeal, and I didn't cook. And he was unhappy with that. But even now I don't cook very much. And when I'm alone, I just take cottage cheese and yogurt and avocados and things like that. Okay, anyone else? Then we'll stop here. One more.
Thank you for the wonderful lecture.
Which part did you like?
Yeah, you said that we should preach to them who are innocent, who have aptitude to
Yeah.
hear. Yeah, but we see often that
There's
there are
nobody
many people,
innocent.
They hear, but we don't see anything in the action. They always hear when we talk to them. They say, yes, they agree.
No, but you're not sure about that. It can go in, it can, go into their heart, and then another thing will, because just by hearing, they're making advancement. We were going on the Harinam every day in London. I was leading the party, and we were going up Oxford Street, busy street. And Prabhupada asked me, so how are you being received by the people? And I said, Srila Prabhupada, many people appreciate, isn't it? We go on Harinam, we see the children dancing, and so many people appreciate it. And so Prabhupada said, just by appreciating, they make advancement. So if somebody just appreciates one thing you say, they're not ready to become devotee, that's okay. But if they appreciate, they get one step closer. That was the purport of Prabhupada's instruction, that just by appreciating, they make advancement. So we should go on preaching, whether they appreciate or not. But if they don't appreciate, then we can become indifferent to them, like Haridas Thakur did. Anyone else? So now it's 8 o'clock. Is that right? So what are we doing? You wanted me to stop Kirtan, so what do you want me to do now? I'm ready for another Kirtan. Huh? Are you serious? Okay, let's have another Kirtan. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pitaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine